hit record on Zoom. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another episode of A Respectful Conversation. I'm your host, King Muse, back at it again. Today I'm very excited to have a special guest, one of my dear friends, and he's got something that I'm super excited to talk about as a recent, more devout fan of the franchise. Tim, what are you going to talk about today?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about something near and dear to my heart. I'm going to talk about Star Wars.
So before Rise of Skywalker came out, I was encouraged mainly by Tim, but also like by myself. I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to do this. We were all going to go see Rise of Skywalker when it premiered, I think, right, the first night it was in theaters. And so I had never seen I had seen bits and pieces of the Star Wars movies, and I had seen mainly the prequels fully and nothing else. And so I sat down for like a few days. We all kind of did together, for some of them too, and binge Star Wars. And so now I'm like, I like listen to Star Wars stuff. I like get it more now, which is nice. So, okay, let's dive in then. Why Star Wars, Tim? Why is Star Wars important to you?
I felt like I wanted to prepare this answer, and in the simplest form of it, it's my perfect comfort food. It's my go-to when I'm sick. It's been there for me since I was a little kid. We went to school for theater. One night I had what I felt like was a really bad audition that I'd prepped really hard for, and I felt very defeated. So I went home and I watched Return of the Jedi. It sounds so cheesy, but it's something that's always been there for me. And it's like, it really kind of puts me back into that place of being a kid again. And I remember very distinctly one Christmas when I was, I want to say I was like 8 years old. And Christmases to me growing up were Star Wars, Toy Story, and Rescue Heroes. Those were the three. And so I remember I got the flu on a Christmas, and to an 8-year-old, that's awful. It's awful in general, but 8-year-olds, I was pumped for Christmas. And I just remember, barely being able to get out of bed, but I made my way down to the couch, and then, my parents, brought my gifts over to me, and there was just a ton of Star Wars stuff, and it was, one of my favorite Christmas memories, because, throughout feeling so terrible, I was able to just be so excited, and it meant a lot to a kid who was who should have been very sad that he was just very, very sick on Christmas. So I don't know, that's one of my early memories of Star Wars.
That's so sweet. And I know too, I think everyone kind of has something like that, specifically, and this kind of goes back to the episode with Ted and how significant movies are in our lives, or it could be a TV show maybe too, but just how those are always things that we can go back to. We all have probably at least one movie or maybe a franchise that we can go back to and be like that, I know I'm gonna feel good if I watch that.
Yeah. And then I guess I'll just touch on the first time I saw it was when I must have been 3 years old, and my mom was watching it because my parents were big Star Wars fans. And I remember I snuck down the stairs, and my mom didn't want me watching it at first because she thought I was gonna be scared of Chewbacca. Because it was, it was A New Hope, and she thought, I'm a 3-year-old, she thought I'd be scared of Chewbacca, not Darth Vader, Chewbacca. And I fell in love with it, literally just eyes glued to the screen, just it was love at first sight. I was just it was so great. So one thing you need to know about Star Wars is they made it as confusing as possible in the order they were released in. And this makes it extremely hard to get new fans into it, because they started the original trilogy, which came out in 1977, and they did 1980 and 1983. and they started with 4, 5, and 6. Like, and I don't really know why they did that. Like, I know at the time the original Star Wars was just Star Wars. It wasn't even A New Hope. It was just Star Wars. And then when Empire Strikes came out, I'm pretty sure they just were like, oh, this is episode 5, and make that episode 4. And it's such a weird concept to me. I don't know. I never have got that. And I'm sure there's someone nerdier than I am, or like who has more knowledge than I am, that's like, well, this is the actual reason they did it. Okay, but I do know, the thing I know is that my non-Star Wars friends now have a harder time being sold on it because of this. So, but anyway, we'll start with 1, 2, and 3, because they went back in 1999 and then throughout 2005 and did the first 3 movies, which are essentially, the plot can be summed up to the creation of Darth Vader. Like, it's like seeing how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. And one thing I just want to say is, I was not a huge prequel fan, and I still have my problems with it, like, going forward. But I kind of recently, with the sequel trilogy coming out, I've kind of like taken a little bit of I've taken a little bit of an easier going stance with the prequels, because there's a lot of people who like those movies, and I have fun with them in the right elements. And I just see so much toxic Star Wars fandom online, and everyone just likes to like yell at the movies they don't like, or yell at others for liking the movies they don't like. And frankly, they're making it not very fun to talk about anymore. I don't know. I'm just very frustrated with that, and I don't want to feed into that. So if you like the prequel trilogy, that's awesome. And like, I'm happy that you like Star Wars in some form. And so I've kind of tried to, having been part of this problem, like in the past, I've kind of tried to take a step back and look in the mirror for a little bit about that. And Revenge of the Sith is fun. Like, I actually really like Revenge of the Sith. It's just, Star Wars, and I say this with all the love in the world as someone who is a lifelong fan, it is silly, dumb, and stupid, and that's what's great about it. It allows Star Wars to be silly and dumb. Don't have such a hard time with it, because when you do, you can just be like, yeah, these were made for kids, and they're so much fun. And, you know, I think if you don't analyze it too much, you can just have a better time with it. So we go into Phantom Menace first, which came out. I'm not a big Phantom Menace fan, just personally. It's not my movie. I was even bored by it as a kid, to be honest. It tries to like go into like space politics a lot, which I don't, the adults aren't really interested in that. The kids aren't really interested in that. I'm just not sure who it's for. Again, there are some people who love it, and that's awesome. It's just not my cup of tea. But in terms of Phantom Menace, I just don't know who my favorite character is, because I don't think the movie has a main character. I think that it doesn't know who its own main character is. And that's really weird to me. No, I'm so serious. Like think about it. It's not Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Obi-Wan just hangs in the spaceship most of the time.
Right, yeah.
It's not Anakin Skywalker, because he's like the point of the movie, but he's a child. I guess it's Qui-Gon Jinn, but like, it's, yeah.
That's
The
one. And in terms of thinking who like my favorite character would be from Phantom Menace, I would say Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
But like, that's a good point, that there isn't really a protagonist.
I think that's the first red flag of the movie. Just like, I think the movie has so many ideas going on, and it's just very unorganized. And it's like, it doesn't know who its own main character is. And I'm not saying a movie needs one main character, but I just like, there's no one to latch onto for me in that. I don't really like Darth Maul in that movie. I know a lot of people do. I love Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, and we'll get to that. They bring Darth Maul back in the Clone Wars, and he's incredible. But I just think he's kind of a prop in Phantom Menace. I don't think he's a character. I think he just is there to look scary. And, you know, I was a little underwhelmed by Darth Maul. I won't spend much more time on Phantom Menace. We're gonna glaze over Attack of the Clones just because yeah, I know everyone wants to hear the thoughts on Jar Jar Binks. They want me to tear Jar Jar Binks to shreds. I don't want to do more damage there. Again, people took it too far. That actor has been through hell. I feel really bad about it. Because I'm not a huge Jar Jar Binks fan. I find him annoying. I think the comedy doesn't work. You know, he was supposed to. Well, if you don't believe in the Sith Lord things that like is joked about and stuff, have you heard about this?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So there were theories that like Jar Jar Binks was essentially in the early days supposed to be like the opposite of Yoda, where in Empire Strikes Back Yoda was started off being very goofy and like very funny, and then became this master Jedi. There were theories that Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be an evil version of that, where it was supposed to be he was supposed to present himself as very goofy and funny, but he'd actually be a Sith Lord. I don't think that's the case. I mean, like, it's funny to think it might have been, but I don't think so. What I do think happened was, I think George Lucas wanted another Chewbacca that was like the fun alien to be on the team. If it works for you, I'm so glad. Like, I couldn't be more glad. My problem is, I don't think it's as good a movie as A New Hope. And a lot of people want to start chronologically. So they're starting with Phantom Menace, and sometimes that can be a deal breaker for people who want to start Star Wars, and that's really tough. But Attack of the Clones, I liked it as a kid because, and here's why. Attack of the Clones, and again, I know I keep saying this, but I just want to keep reinforcing these are just my opinions. Like, if you love these movies, awesome. I love it. But I just want to reinforce this is how I feel. I think the movie is like painfully boring, but the last 30 minutes have a lot of show. And so a lot of times when you watch that movie, growing up especially, I could only really remember the last 30 minutes. Like, that was what I took away from it.
I don't remember Attack of the Clones because part of it's probably my brain not wanting to, but another part of it is probably just that because like I said, like Phantom Menace is second most boring because Attack of the Clones is the most boring in my opinion because it's
Yeah.
they lean in, if I recall correctly, they lean into the politics like so much, and you're just like, I don't care. I will say because I'm a big Anakin Skywalker fan, partly because I like to laugh at him, but also because the story is like really dark and messed up, and I feel bad for him as a sad boy. Um, and so like the part with his mom and everything, and I know that like speech that he gives with Padme. Hopefully, I'm thinking of the right movie. The
No, you
speech
are.
he gives, okay, good, with Padme after it happens and everything, like sounds dumb and everything, but that part to me is exciting because it's and they always hint at it with the music of with the Imperial March starts playing and everything, of like
Hey, no
seeing
hate
Darth
on
Vader.
no hate on the music of the prequels. I actually love the music of
Yeah.
the prequels. They reference the Darth Vader theme, which you said they reference a lot of the themes. And also John Williams makes every score of each trilogy very distinct. Like, he kind of breaks up the trilogies, and the prequel trilogy he goes opera, and it's cool. I love it. There's so many operatic themes in the prequels, and I have nothing bad to say about the music of the prequels. It's incredible. So yeah, no, you just kind of made me think of that with the Darth Vader theme.
Yeah. I think just for me, like in terms of character, in terms of Anakin and Darth Vader specifically,
Yeah.
I in general in life like to know the tough stuff people have gone through so that I can better understand them of like why they act the way they do now. And
Yeah.
so that's like that's why I appreciate the prequels because I already like Darth Vader, and I can, like I said, I can laugh at Anakin but also be like, oh, okay, I'm seeing like the trauma that happened that made him the way that he is by the end of all this.
So I will say my favorite character for this movie, before we move on, is a tie, because this is when Ewan McGregor starts being amazing as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's good in Phantom Menace, but he's not really given anything to work with. He's awesome as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love him. He's my favorite performance out of the prequels. He's perfect, and he does his homework. He like was studying Alec Guinness to learn about how Obi-Wan should be. He's great, and I like Padme quite a bit too, and I really like Natalie Portman, and I would have liked to have seen her more in Star Wars than she got, but Here's the one I was excited to talk about. Let's get to Revenge of the Sith. Because here's the thing. Revenge of the Sith gets roped in with the other two a lot. And I don't think it deserves to. I think it's still very messy, but if you go back to that stance of Star Wars is silly and dumb and let's enjoy it, then I think Revenge of the Sith fits very nicely in there. I feel almost the exact same way I do about Revenge of the Sith that I do about Rise of Skywalker. Where I walked out of Rise of Skywalker, the newest one, episode 9, and I was like, that movie was a mess and really dumb, and damn it if I didn't have a smile on almost the whole time I was watching it. You know? And so, and again, I'm probably very biased, but I think Revenge of the Sith is so dark, but it's so fun. And there's just a lot to love in it. I will say, I really, really wish episodes 2 and 3 had just been Revenge of the Sith split up. Like, I wish the first half of Revenge of the Sith was what episode 2 was, just dug a little deeper in, and then they ended episode 2 with Anakin Skywalker deciding to be Darth Vader, and then episode 3 was full-on dark side Anakin, and you kind of got to explore the Empire Rising. I think that's the more interesting story, and I don't know why we lingered so long on space politics when we could have been in the cool stuff. Here we come into Ian McDiarmid playing the Emperor. And he is just, he's great. And you know why I love the Emperor, Katie? He knows what movie he's in. like that's why I love it so much. He is so over the top and he's so much and it works. Like, it's brilliant. And the faces he makes, he's like, no, and all this. And it's so much and it shouldn't work. And it's great. I love it. I can never get enough of him. And then Ewan McGregor is just beautiful in Revenge of the Sith. He's perfect. I love him. There's also a lot of cool concepts about the clone troopers that come in Revenge of the Sith that you watch it and you're like, I wish that was explored more. And then that's why you have Clone Wars, because there's a lot to love. And Order 66 as a whole is very effective. I think it's very sad. I think it's, yeah. The Jedi Order is dumb. They had it coming. But, sorry. No, the Jedi Order and Clone Wars goes into it especially. They're mean. I'm sorry. They're all really mean. They're thick-headed. They don't listen to anyone. And they don't deserve to die, but, like, at the same time, like, they get blindsided because they're stupid. And, they come off in a very we know best thing. And the reason Obi-Wan and Yoda survive is because they're willing to look outside the box sometimes. Mm-hmm. And like Mace Windu is the epitome of just, I won't look outside the box, my way or the highway. And I'm like, okay, then, don't want to say he had it coming, but
it's true. And I appreciated that about watching the Clone Wars recently, was how much they really just lean into, like, yeah, the Jedi don't make sense. Like, no, they're like this like religious group that are like fighting for like the light, presumably, because they're so against the dark side, but then it's like you're fighting and killing people. So, like, what? It's just, we're all waiting to get to Revenge of the Sith, because the first original 3 movies have already happened. We know it's coming. We just want to get to it. Like, once we're there, it's like so cathartic to see him finally become Darth Vader. And while it could have been more, maybe a little bit effective than him just being like, I'm cranky, I'm going to the dark side now, like, and at least we're finally like, oh dang, yeah, like, whoa, he's Darth Vader, crazy.
The originals. I go back and forth on my favorite Star Wars movie being A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back. I love them both. I'll kind of try and talk about these as units going forward, but we can like focus on the things we love. Because if I go movie to movie, this could get a little long. So the original trilogy, I love it. I really do. A New Hope and Empire go back and forth for me. I love the simple structure of A New Hope. It's really like, it's the story you've seen a million times, but just done so well. I love the entire Death Star chase. The characters are all great. Princess Leia is awesome. Like, she's so good. Fun fact, she's trying a British accent for the first half of the movie and then drops it. If you haven't caught that before, go back and watch it. It's hysterical. It's one of the things she somehow got away with, and they drop it. and I don't understand why they tried it for half the movie. Yeah, it's so funny. There's so much memorable stuff in that first movie. But Empire's the one that I think George Lucas is a very good writer, and I think he like story wise, and I think he has great ideas, but I think he sometimes needs someone to shepherd his ideas a little bit. And so that's why Empire Strikes Back is so good, because Empire Strikes Back is like a very artistic director, Irving Kershner, coming in and being like, you have a great thing here, let's kind of mold it a little bit and like see. And he takes the characters to darker places. He splits them up, but not in an annoying way, in a way that allows him to focus on them individually, which is really cool. Like, a lot of the movies I hate when they split up the team, and it gets really annoying to me, but for some reason in Empire it works, because it allows us to have like a view into all these characters. He creates a romance between Han and Leia, which is nice. I don't think that Leia and Luke were brother and sister until Return of the Jedi. My theory was that they were trying to create a love triangle in both A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and then they had the whole great audience reaction of "I am your father," spoiler alert, from Darth Vader, and they were like, shoot, we need something for the third one. Luke and Leia are brother and sister. And it's like, they kiss 3 times. like there's the one everyone knows about, but there are 2 more kisses, and it's weird. And if you ever want a really interesting story, look up how the original Star Wars was made, because George Lucas got every roadblock thrown at him possible. People were quitting left and right. He was crazy over budget. No one believed in the idea. The actors didn't really believe in the idea. They weren't taking it very seriously. He was working against pretty much everyone. And then he finished filming, or was close to finishing filming, and they realized they had to like reshoot the entire movie. It's cringeworthy to watch. And just, it really is kind of like, it's one of the biggest wins when you can see how successful it was, because it's like an idea no one believed in, and then it took off, and it's cool. So yeah, and then just touching on Return of the Jedi, I like Return of the Jedi. I always say my favorite moments from the original trilogy are in Return of the Jedi, but it's my least favorite movie overall of the 3. So my favorite Star Wars moments, probably of all time, are anything to do with Luke, Darth Vader, and the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. Like, all that stuff in the throne room, chef's kiss. It's great. I'm not a big Jabba's Palace fan. I get pretty bored. I all the goofy puppets. They have like songs in there now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they added the CGI stuff. Yeah,
they did, and it became like, that's the thing, like, you have on, and then someone walks into the room and they're like, what are you watching? And you're like, like, it's just like, yeah, no, I was just changing the channel. Yeah, I'm not a big Jabba's Palace fan. Funny enough, I have no problem with Ewoks. Like, a lot of people seem to. What?
Cute. I like the Ewoks. They're cute.
Yeah, I think I have a very easy solution for everyone's problem with the Ewoks, but just from years of watching Star Wars, everyone hates on the Ewoks because they're like, they beat the stormtroopers so easily. And I'm like, yeah, they did. I think the easy solution was, you had rebel troops on the ground with them, right? Like, there are rebel troops in that scene. If you had shown me the Ewoks helping out, but the rebel troopers doing the heavy lifting, and the Ewoks were working as distractions and stuff, that I would have bought. But they kind of go for the cutesy factor of like, the Ewoks are just doing all the heavy lifting, and it's a little silly. I don't hate it, but I just think there's a fix right in front of you.
Yeah. I just want to say too that Return of the Jedi, along with Phantom Menace, was one of those ones that I just always caught like my brother and my dad watching. So I've seen the Jabba's Palace part more times than I need to. Like, up until the sand pit bit or whatever.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think that's pretty much, yeah. Like, that was one of those bits of Star Wars that I'd seen like 20 times before I ever watched the actual movie.
And then Boba Fett, I'm hoping Mandalorian can make him cool. I never got the Boba Fett thing. I think he looks great.
I'm glad you're saying that, because I didn't either.
He looks great. He looks cool, and he inspired the Mandalorian. there are people who like will die on the Boba Fett hill. I've always, to this day, I'm still waiting for him to do something.
Yeah.
You know, but he looks cool, and he dies really easily. One thing I should say is Luke is so cool in Return of the Jedi. Luke is
Yes.
he's so cool, and people hate on Farm Boy Luke. Luke is the perfect character arc of all three movies. He's different in all three movies. He's learning from his experience in all three movies. He's an incredible protagonist, and the payoff there is a long game, and it's in Return of the Jedi, and he's so good in it, and I love Luke in Return of the Jedi. I really like C-3PO. I see C-3PO getting a lot of flack, and I'm like,
Yeah, I love C-3PO. I relate
yeah,
to C-3PO.
I always liked C-3PO, and I like that C-3PO gets to save the day a lot in the original trilogies, and I wish people weren't as harsh on him. I love R2-D2 too. R2-D2 feels like the one that goes without saying, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. R2's epic. And Yoda. Oh my god.
Oh, Yoda!
The entirety of Empire Strikes Back.
We almost moved on without talking about Yoda. I love Yoda. I love Yoda's theme. I love the music with Yoda. I love Yoda so much. I wish he was in Return of the Jedi a little more, but I love Yoda so much. He just everything he stands for, all the like lessons he's able to give. Just yeah, I love Yoda.
There's nothing like a little tiny wise green guy that we
Yeah,
don't even know what his race is. And he's just this like little wizard.
he is,
Epic.
and he's another one that shouldn't work,
Yeah.
but it does. It's great. And also just like there's so many characters that I just love from the original trilogy. Harrison Ford as Han is amazing.
Yeah.
Chewbacca is a great sidekick. I love Chewbacca to the moon and back. Billy D. Williams as Lando is just a ton of fun. I really like when characters are added on in a sequel and then stay for further sequels. I don't know why. I just enjoy that concept. Like I like the world building aspect of that. So I'm glad Lando's part of the group in Return of the Jedi. I've always appreciated that. You ready to move on to some sequel trilogy?
Oh boy, yeah, let's go.
Okay. I am conflicted about the sequel trilogy. I really am. Because people are so mean to it and they're so harsh on it and too much. Just like, come on, Star Wars is silly, and like it's fun, and just be nicer to it. And also maybe don't harp on every new female addition to the cast because it doesn't look good. My big problem with the sequel trilogy is it's a little too messy for me. It feels like, and I know this is for a fact actually true, it's been confirmed, no one planned out these three movies together. They wrote them as they went. And with just the hundreds of billions of dollars you're investing in this, I don't understand that concept. And I think you can see it in the movies. I think it does show up. I don't think it makes them horrible. Like I think they're still good movies, but they're almost good movies individually. Like as a trilogy, it's pretty messy. And yeah, that's all I'll say about it. It just like that's my big problem with it. It jumps around, but there's a lot to love in it.
I think too. These were the first ones that I think I might have seen them in theaters, or they were the first like Star Wars movies that I had actually sat down and watched all the way through.
Yeah.
Before I did my binge and everything, and I slipped into it comfortably because it just felt like the kind of action movie that we get nowadays, like the Marvel kind of stuff, like and so I once I heard all of the criticisms about it afterwards, I was like confused because I was like, oh, I just thought like it was a fun action movie.
So Force Awakens is at the top of my Star Wars list. It's my third favorite movie in the entire thing. I love Force Awakens. I think it's so well done. And I think Force Awakens is the perfect entry movie into Star Wars for new fans. I think it's the one I would give to like someone like you, Katie, who's like, I might want to try this, but I don't know if it's for me or not. I would say, why don't you try Force Awakens? You know, it's made like a movie today. It's extremely well paced. It does hit a lot of the beats of A New Hope, but I think on purpose. Like I think they were trying to get back on track. And so I really like that.
the feeling I get with Rey too is that she feels like, I mean, she has her group, she has her people that she's with, but she feels like a lone shark to me
Yeah.
compared to like the originals where you had like the core group and they like were all, and that's why Empire Strikes Back was nice because we got to like see them like be their own characters for a second. But like
Yeah.
she just feels like she's having her own tough time, like on her own the entire time. And then part of that's like, you know, with Finn and everything, like he wants to be there for her. And part of that's just how she is she's like closed off a little bit. But like that, that to me, that's intriguing. I don't know.
Yeah, and just like, and I don't know if I'm the right person to talk about this, but it kind of does feel like it goes back to the people have problem with like female characters in Star Wars.
Yeah,
Like I feel like every female character that was introduced got complained about. Um
yeah. Except for
like
Leia.
except for Leia, but she wasn't introduced.
Right.
You know, like she came back in the sequel trilogy.
Exactly.
People, people hate Admiral Holdo, who is Laura Dern's character.
Right.
Which, how do you hate Laura Dern? She's America's sweetheart,
Yeah.
America's sweetheart, Laura Dern. And I just, and they hate her to no extent. And there's a lot of that in there. Also, Rose Tico didn't deserve the hate. You guys are being mean to Rose Tico. I get it. She got kind of a boring storyline in Last Jedi, but like the woman got bullied off social media. She got tormented. She, and then you know what bugs me about Rise of Skywalker, Katie?
What?
They sided with the fans on Rose Tico.
Yeah.
They did. They listened to the or not the fans. I'm sorry, the trolls. I'm gonna say the
Yeah.
trolls because
Yeah.
it feels unfair to say the fans.
Right.
They sided with the trolls because they had an opportunity. They saw this poor woman get bullied on social media and get tormented on something that wasn't her fault. She was so excited to be in Star Wars. She got a character. The character had potential. Like there was a lot of cool stuff in there. She just happened to be on not my favorite part of Last Jedi. And then the next movie has this opportunity to be like, you know what, we're gonna give her a cool role. Like we can give her something to do. She can go in the group. If she goes in the group, we'll kill two birds with one stone because it won't be the one female to several male operation we've had. And then instead they decided to listen to the trolls and they were like, yeah, let's give her 3 lines. And it's like, dude.
Entirely, it's totally true. Like the plot, the B plot in The Last Jedi gets blamed on Rose,
Mm-hmm.
which just isn't fair. I mean, there's the moment at the end in the battle at the end where like Finn, spoiler alert, Finn's like gonna like sacrifice himself, and she like stops him from doing that. And with that, it's like I think we talked about this. Like that would have been an epic moment for
It
Finn,
would have.
especially because he as a character was also struggling a little bit with with what people thought of him.
There's another character that I love dearly who's introduced in the sequel trilogy, and that is your boy, Adam Driver, Kylo
Oh,
Ren.
shout out to BB-8 though. I was thinking about BB-8.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love BB-8. I
But-
love BB-8. I love BB-8. I love Poe Dameron. I like a lot of the sequel trilogy here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that was fun.
Kylo Ren. Let's dive into Kylo Ren. Let's go.
I think
Let's go.
he's the best character that the sequel trilogy has to offer. Like, I think, and I love Rey. I love her to death. I just am thinking in terms of like character arc, maybe like a little of the struggling I wanted to see in Anakin Skywalker, I see in Kylo Ren. They right so many wrongs with him. And he's so fascinating to me. And I don't understand why people don't like him as a villain because I like seeing conflicted villains. I do like seeing conflicted villains, and I like enjoying like the struggle of them and seeing that they're people.
Mhm.
And so I felt like I saw that in Kylo Ren, and I truly didn't know where he was going to go a lot of times in the movie, which he added the biggest surprises to me. And I think Adam Driver is just so perfect in this role. I think he does the same thing that Ewan McGregor did with Alec Guinness, where he studied Harrison Ford and did a lot of his mannerisms and like did his homework. That moment in Rise of Skywalker where he's fighting all the Knights of Ren and he does the little like shrug like that. Harrison Ford does that in Return of the Jedi. So it's like, yeah, I love Kylo Ren, Ben Solo. All right, Let's get into some of the like series stuff, and I won't take too long with it, I promise.
Yeah, no, we can zip through these.
Okay.
Easy
Also,
peasy, especially because I haven't seen Solo. Yes?
okay, I'll do Solo first then. Solo gets a really bad rap. It's not that bad. It's a really fun one-off Star Wars movie that I think if you just want to like have a nice night, you can put on Solo. It's a fun night. You won't regret watching it, and Chewbacca is lovely in that movie. He steals the movie.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah. Rogue One. Lot of fun. I like it. It's another last 40 minutes movie for me. Like the
Mhm.
build-up's a little slow for me in Rogue One, but the last 40 minutes are really cool. Also, I don't think the characters are as deep as people say they are. Maybe that's not the point. I just don't feel that attached to the Rogue One characters, but maybe that's the point. But visually, coolest space battles I've seen in Star Wars, probably. Some of the just fight scenes in Rogue One are insane. Clone Wars, go watch Clone Wars, everyone who's listening to this. It's so good. And you watch it for a character in particular who just is the perfect example of what a Jedi is supposed to be, and that is Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano is brought in as Anakin's new apprentice, and it's a dumb concept, I know, but they perfectly. Well, I think you don't see her in Revenge of the Sith at all. So like on principle, when she's brought in, people were like, "Are you serious? Like they wouldn't just mention her?" Yeah, sometimes you don't mention your other friends when you got a lot going on. like sometimes you got a lot going on in life, and I just don't think to mention my other friend.
Right, and the thing is how the Clone Wars handles Revenge of the Sith makes
Yeah,
it make sense.
it does.
It just makes sense in a way that I didn't think that it was gonna go, and I finished a season, and I was like, oh, that's what happens? What?
Yeah. Um, I think Clone Wars makes Revenge of the Sith a better movie.
Yeah.
Like I think like it makes you feel worse about Anakin turning into Darth Vader. Like that the show makes you love Anakin, or at least it made me love Anakin. It makes Ahsoka just such a tragic character. She cares so deeply about her friends and trying to do the right thing, and it also really humanitizes the clones, which makes Order 66 way more tragic. Like it makes Order 66 really sad because they essentially all lose their identities. They're just brainwashed. And so and yeah, I love Captain Rex and Ahsoka. That's really, and Darth Maul. Darth Maul is really cool.
Yeah. Dude, the way they dive in Darth Maul is nuts.
It's nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. And then last but not least, let's do Mandalorian because that's what they're doing right now. And that's the newest stuff. I love The Mandalorian. I think it's the most, I've said this before, I think it's the most organized Star Wars storytelling since the original trilogy. I
Yeah.
think I think it's really carefully planned out and really well done, including Clone Wars. I think Clone Wars can get messy sometimes too. I think Mandalorian's structure is very solid. Um, Baby Yoda is amazing. He's great. I'm gonna call him Baby Yoda. Sorry. Somehow they make me see emotions through a helmet. I don't know how they do that, but that's cool.
And there were a lot of opportunities prior to do that.
Yeah,
There are a lot of helmets in Star Wars.
there are
And
quite a few helmets in
Mandalorian
Star Wars.
doesn't. Do you want to say any final statements or anything?
Yeah, I'll just say, first of all, thank you for letting me nerd out about Star Wars. I hope that listeners enjoyed this. I really love the universe of it. There's more if you want it, or you can kind of contain yourself to what you like. Like for instance, if you don't like where Luke ends up in the sequel trilogy, you can just watch the original trilogy and like just that can be your Star Wars, or you can get more. Like I feel like there's so many avenues for it. It's always been there for me. I like it when I get people excited about it. So I was so happy when you got into it, Katie.
Yeah, I'm excited that I actually know it and understand it now, and
Yeah,
genuinely appreciate and love the characters and their stories. It's nice. It's always
it's
nice
nice.
to find a new thing where you're just like, ah, yes,
And
characters that I care about.
it also inspires me creatively, like quite a bit. I think the world building in general, I think there's so many creative avenues, and I think part of me being an artist is due to Star Wars. So like, I think that I owe a little bit of that to it.
Cool. I think this was a successful, respectful conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
for
for
having me,
listening.
Katie.
Thank you, Tim, for being here. All right, that's it. Happy Star Wars. Bye.
Happy Star Wars.